Hey, this is Joel from Noise Ratchet, and you're listening to the Rumors Are True podcast.
Welcome, this is Jeremy Allen Gould, and I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that the rumors you have all heard are true. I started this podcast to have a platform for the bands and artists that I've worked with in the past, as well as new musicians and artists that influenced myself and many others. The Rumors Are True podcast is an opportunity for the artists to tell their story their way. I'm still in the business of confirming rumors. I still love a good conversation, and I still freaking love music. So thanks again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you like what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true.
Let's go now, we can take back what's at stake. We are the underdogs, or so we have been told. We're not going home till you turn it to gold. Take the darkest part of me and turn it to gold. Color in the heart of me, it shines brighter, taking me higher, illuminate my soul and turn it to
Thank you for tuning in to this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome my friend Jeremy Spring. You know Jeremy from the bands Abandoned Kansas, Crusoe, and Glass Age. Awesome conversation with an old friend. So cool to have him on this podcast. I got to see his band make their way up through the ranks, so it's just really an honor to have him on. So I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Jeremy Spring. Jeremy, what is up, dude? It is a long time coming. Stoked to have you on the podcast, man.
What's up, Jeremy? Another Jeremy. I just realized we're both named Jeremy. Why did I just think of that?
Dude.
What's up, man?
What is up with you? What's up? What's new in your world, bud?
I'm still in Kansas. I didn't abandon it after all. Isn't that a good joke?
So crazy that you have not abandoned it.
I'm here. I'm a dad, and I'm doing what you did, man. I'm run shows in Wichita and
crazy.
Hang out.
Dude, you like it? It's fun.
Yeah, Wichita, think about the spots you booked. Eagles Lodge North and South, Church, Youth Room, or Headway, right? What those the
Headway,
options?
yeah, and Oz Cafe, yeah.
Oz, he's in Town West now with his shop anyways. But, Wichita has so many more venues and capacities to work with. We get way more stuff now. It's cool.
That's exciting, man. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about when you and I first met, which I don't even know when that was. But
06, 05.
06, 05.
I think Ground Zero.
Yeah,
Ground
maybe.
Zero.
Was it who was playing? I don't even remember.
I think you were like were you a judge on a Battle of the Bands, or?
You know what? I might have been.
I didn't play it, but I was there. I just remember being around you. Tyler Clarensaw is a big reason we met. Because you were in a band with him.
Yeah.
And I was around him with like church music and had mutual friends in college. And his band was like the only little band leaving town at all right there.
Sure.
In that little era. They didn't do much, but you remember Dear Augustine?
Yes.
So I'd be going to their shows, and then I just see, you're the door guy at the shows you're running, most of them, and just started schmoozing with you to get my band on stuff, and put butts in the room.
Yeah, and I totally remember first hearing you guys, and I was like, "Whoa, this band's good!" Like, you don't really.
That can't be true.
No, well, I mean, it was good enough for me to put you on some good shows. I feel like
you probably saw us get better though, because you were there. I mean, we would play for you. Like, there were points, in the fall or the spring, it was busy. We'd play like a couple times a week at the Eagles Lodge. Like, remember one big foot in the door we had is we owned a little PA.
Yes,
and you would rent it. Any advice to a young artist? I'm like, make yourself valuable in other ways.
Absolutely.
Make yourself essential.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I remember. I remember your CD release show for your first record at the Asbury Church, right? Asbury United Methodist or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge.
It was. It might. I mean, that record sold the most too. I mean, everything about that. We had some juice. It was cool. Yeah,
man, that's awesome. Yeah, and then obviously get to book you guys quite a few shows. I think with Haste the Day, I put you on a show with Haste the Day. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought it would be odd and interesting.
I kept up with their tour manager, and because I remember that show, he had just bought some boutique amp, and he busted it out of the trailer and he knew we were an indie band, so he wanted me to play it. And I played that dude's amp that night, and man, I know you mentioned this before, but we kept up with those Haste the Day guys, especially Mike.
Yeah, you played his wedding, didn't you?
We did play his wedding. Like, I played when they walked down the aisle, and we played the after party.
Wow.
It was cool, man.
They're so sweet. Cool.
Mike and Emily,
It was cool to see you guys, not only work hard, but kind of get to where you were in a spot that most of the bands, the local bands wanted to be in, just being able to tour and then put records out. I think that's really cool. It was really cool to see you guys succeed.
Heavy shows were where kids were at. So we we got signed because a label was checking out a band. We were one of 5 heavy band. We stick out good, and you gave us that kind of practice. Winning over a hardcore crowd. We'd have our little breakdowns. Yeah, we had our little positive core.
That's cool, man. I love that. That's so cool. Well, let's talk about growing up for you, Jeremy. What records, bands, influences, maybe even shows that kind of pushed you in the direction that you went?
I mean, I've always been around music. Both my parents have degrees in piano. Big time. My dad was a pastor, so music on Sunday morning, music Sunday night, music Wednesday night, music in the youth area. At home, it was like classical music or Christian music, and not like anything edgy, like hymns or Southern gospel type stuff. I didn't really even hear an electric guitar till probably high school, or see a drum kit, things like that, until high school, visiting other kids' youth groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wasn't exposed at all. And then I started skipping school to buy Reliant K records, and who I didn't realize was just Blink-182. I had no idea who Blink-182 was. I listened to the Christian version of every band. There were posters on the wall. Do you remember these?
I do.
It's if you're a fan of Limp Bizkit, then you'll love POD. And then full circle, my band ends up on those posters, and it's if you like Audio Slave, you'll like Abandoned Kids. Anyways. Not in college, I started getting into some more alternative, but it was still Christian. It was Tooth and Nail, Solid State, and you were booking a shit ton of the lower half of that roster, and I was driving to Lawrence to see the other half of that roster, and so that's kind of my music journey. I didn't realize I wanted to be on stage or sing in front of people until senior year of high school. I didn't get on varsity basketball. So I would have had to play JV as a senior. That's embarrassing. So I went out for the musical as a rebellious move, and realized I liked being on stage and singing. Not even liked it, but I could do it. I was comfortable. I didn't feel weird or embarrassed like I thought I would. So that was a propeller as well.
When did you start writing songs?
High school, I got an acoustic guitar. there's like a school talent show, wrote a song called Senioritis, things like that, like funny joke songs. And then, I mean, it really wasn't, any other expression was probably like a worship type song.
Sure.
It wasn't until I got dumped in sophomore in college that I started, expressing myself.
Sure.
And my cool uncle, everybody's got one cool uncle. He gave me a guitar, electric guitar, 77 cool. Fender Telecaster, and that I still have. And started a band there in college, trying to, more of revenge, like at her. Everything was aimed at her. The whole first record, everything, that.
Yeah.
So it was total, just college angst, and
yeah.
The rest of my band dropped out, and we hit the road, man. I actually finished school, but
yeah. Well, let's talk about the beginning of Abandoned Kansas. Just kind of bring me through how that kind of materialized, and how the band name came to, I guess, and kind of just the beginning stages of the band.
Yeah, my roommate in college, freshman roommate, he was like on a basketball scholarship, and he thought it was. We both worked at Best Buy. Remember when Best Buy had CDs?
I think I knew it. I knew you were there when you worked there. I do.
I still keep up with a lot. Like Tony worked at Best Buy. I still keep up with a lot of the guys that I worked with then, because we were all just music fans that wanted to. We could get the CDs a week early. They came a week early. We could buy it. Like, it was awesome. And he just thought it'd be funny to do a pun, a band in Kansas. But it's Abandoned Kansas. And me still being like this youth pastor degree, poser Christian guy, was like, came up with a Bible verse that like related to leaving the world behind for heaven or something. I don't know, but we liked the joke, and it led to a lifetime of confusing phone calls and showing up to marquees with who knows what on it, because it always got lost in translation.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it was a joke, but basically got asked to play different events on campus. So our set would be 50% covers, 50% really bad originals, and just guys that I had met there in college. It was just a fun project, a side thing. And then we started playing shows with you, making friends, not just with bigger bands, because that didn't really help. Like, every band thinks, oh, once we play this, then they're going to put us on the bus, and we're going to go with them. And but we met regional bands through that system and started going to Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Kansas City and Springfield, Missouri, and all these towns had good little scenes. And MySpace was just like
massive,
bonkers.
Yeah,
it was our band. Like, we've never had a social platform do what that was doing for us, like numbers wise, and you could just network so quickly with venues and bands, local bands, find the right people that to work with, and and the fans. That thing, we totally built our band, and were able to DIY, coast to coast tour out of MySpace. That was
so cool.
That was very real. Yeah, I did all the booking the whole time, and just sending lots of emails, and I started booking a few shows in Wichita, modeling after you. Like, I booked Spoken at a youth group, like and be cutting class, like fax a contract back to an agent, like totally no idea what I was doing, didn't have that money in my account, absolute risk, basing my deals off a sellout. Like, it was just so. It was wild, and I really miss how brave I was back then.
Yeah,
don't you sometimes?
I do too, because I would never in a million years do it now. Like,
now I have trouble even staying at a whole show now, and
I know. I know the feeling.
I put off tasks, and back then nothing could stop me, and they were not all good ideas, but we just kept going, and oh man.
Well, let me ask you this: when you start the band, do you feel like you had something pretty special, like in terms of music and stuff? Like you're writing songs. I remember again seeing you guys early on, and I thought you guys were really good, and the songs were great.
did you guys feel like you had something special, something, worth, going after?
That's a good question. I don't think so. We were pretty insecure the whole time. I think whatever level of success we felt that we were experiencing, we always felt like we kind of got shortchanged, or we're kind of on the outside. We played Cornerstone, but it's 11 a.m. on Wednesday or whatever. I like.
Sure.
I mean, it felt deflated, and I think one of the most hurtful things we would keep hearing at these church gigs and bar gigs and things, like after the show, the promoter did, "Oh, you guys are like good, like a real band. I would have put this local on. I would have done something different. We would have done it Saturday." And it just always kind of missed timing. And I think we got in our heads about that a little bit. Just like always, part of it being from Kansas, some of the identity is just like that underdog thing, middle of nowhere. And so we leaned into that with our DIY approach and the way we did our merch, the way we did our living room tours. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think, but as far as thinking we had something special, I think we always thought we were chasing that.
Yeah.
That feeling. Yeah. I don't think we ever felt like it. Oh, this is awesome. I think we always felt like a little bit projecting.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the first record. You build a wall, I'll build a ladder. We kind of alluded to it being, after a breakup, and then of course we mentioned the concert or the show that you guys put on that was bonkers packed. Bring me through the recording that record, kind of looking back on it and how you feel about it now. I know it's been a while.
It has. I'm trying to think, man. Even just the album title's hilarious. That's back when song titles were long and album titles were long, like obnoxiously long. I guess the big thing in recording at that era, now's different. A band really can make a pretty good record at home. We don't have the means to do that. So we found, they found us. What ended up being pretty, not corrupt, but they were finding young bands and making
exploiting
money off of them. Yes. And we got teamed up with this group out of Ohio. He came out here. We put down 3 songs. He really liked a song called Minutes that we had and thought like we could make a record. So Wink Hartman is a Wichita figure that owns Hartman Arena. Now it's Park City Arena, but he owned Chester's Chop House and Fancy Steakhouse on the east side. And our bass player was his favorite server there and had our 3-song demo stuck in his Hummer, like would not stop raving about our band, and wrote a check for $10,000. And, Chris was like, I won't be here for a couple of weeks. We're recording in Ohio. We still had no idea how we were paying for it. And he just said, how much? And wrote a check.
Are you serious? That is nuts.
So what's funny is we drove to Ohio, made that record, but that bass player we kicked out of the band in that session, and we replaced all his parts. And it's brutal,
gosh.
Right. But anyways, like not until the record came out did he realize what had happened. Like
holy cow.
But in Ohio, we spent 3 weeks up there at a studio. We were a 4-piece. Brian on drums, and Chris was the bass player. And who else was there? Oh, Brad Foster was our brand new guitar player.
Love Brad.
He was, new to the band and didn't influence a ton of that process, but I played a lot of guitar and keyboards, and the vocals were new to the studio process, new to, I don't know, we were new to it all. So it was all to me,
was it exciting?
It was so exciting and scary, and no pressure from a label or nobody, as far as we knew, cared other than our like hometown fans, maybe. But put a lot of pressure on myself. When I listen to it now, I kind of am okay with it. I wasn't okay with it for a long time.
Sure.
Because as soon as we got to a better, more professional experience, I saw what we could have done, or just felt embarrassed by the early stuff. And really, that was the wrong move. Should have embraced it and kept rolling, because that record, like I said earlier, sold more than anything, and is the one when I run into people who are now in big ass bands, are like, dude, that record, man, I used to spend so much time with that, and I'm like, what? You know, wow, that's embarrassing. You know, but it, yeah, I think making stuff and being okay with it and letting people respond how they can. As a younger artist, couldn't do that. I wanted to control the process and control what they thought about it, and how they were taking it, and a lot of anxiety in that.
Yeah.
But honestly, the studio is my favorite part of being a musician over the live shows. I think the heightened sense of creativity, the pressure, the jokes, like the camaraderie, it's super intimate and just really special, and the permanency of putting something down, it's like, that's how it is now. And I still, the studio really lights me up.
That's cool, man. I love that. That's awesome to hear that. I love this record, just so you know. It's very nostalgic for me, and I say that in a sense because I got to see you guys, like I said, kind of rise up at this time, which was really cool. You know, being in Wichita at the time. You know, I'm a Florida boy, but it was cool to see friends do something. Like, I just vividly remember that show, just being like, wow, this is a hell of a turnout. Like, it was just like so cool. And you had a buzz. It was a palpable buzz, which I really thought was awesome for you guys. And just from the outside,
it didn't feel like that, cool. Man.
But you know, from the outside, it
weird,
did.
Right? That's cool. I love hearing that, because nobody tells you that stuff in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, they don't stop and say that. They assume we've got plenty of people nearby telling us that, when really that wasn't the case. Like, it always felt like Wichita. We went from this weird, like, a local band, and then nobody asked us to do anything, because there was this concept that, oh, they're too big now, they would never do that. And really, we weren't big. We were just the same size as Wichita in like 20 other cities. And like, you know, so that record release show, our trick with all of our record release shows has been to give away the album with the ticket price. So
I remember that now.
Sell 500 CDs, and so you turn in that number.
Definitely remember.
You know, to SoundScan, we sold 500 records in town, and that was our move.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
that was fun.
That obviously led to you guys signing with Goatee. Bring me through that. I mean, that's pretty big. You know, I remember, again, vividly remember when you guys signed. I was like, what the hell? That's insane. You know, like in a cool way. Was shocked and like happy for you guys, stoked for you guys. It was just, that's a big step.
Yeah, what did you think when you heard Goatee? Like, what band? What were you thinking? Toby?
Well, DC Talk, of course. You know, or who else was on that? Maybe Out of Eden. Like, you know, I don't remember who else was on that other than Toby Mac.
I'll give you one. Ryan K.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So it was Full Circle Crazy. I mean, that was the band. Like, okay, chronologically, we put out You Build a Wall in December. What a funny idea. Who drops a record in December? In December of 2007, and we dropped out of school in the spring semester, and we had a van and trailer. We hit the road in January of 2008. We played a show that same week of our record release with Astley's and Poison the Well at Eagles Lodge North.
I didn't know I put you on that show.
That's how good our draw was. We played that show like 3 days before our record
Unbelievable,
release.
dude. I booked that. I remember that show. I just didn't realize I put you on that.
We're just such fans of that band and those first 3 records and all that.
Oh,
anyways, we hit the road in 2008, and I shit you not, we played 260 something shows that year.
I believe it.
Insane schedule. And we've never stopped. And that is what glued it together for labels to be like, okay, the record's whatever, but like this band's already working. And my advice to any band, like these labels are investors, they're a bank. Like they want to know, they want to pour gas on a fire. They can't start the fire. So we had some pretty good interest. Like Atlantic was probably the closest we came to a manager. But we had a music lawyer, an entertainment lawyer was the first person we hired professionally, which I would recommend also. And
that's pretty wise for being to make that decision at that time. That's insane.
That was older band guy, friends, other bands that are already signed telling us, And honestly, dude, the end of the story still comes out the same. All the cliches just kind of have to happen to you. But the putting down $3,000 for a lawyer retainer was a big investment for that band.
Yes, it is.
And all he did was look at stuff and reject it. And we had very, very little understanding of 360 deals were big right then. Like people know better now, but they were new and hot right then. And we were watching friends of ours get signed and be off the deal within the same year. We were scared. We were watching friends of ours get hundreds of thousands of dollars in advances and wreck their lives. We were watching friends of ours get a pretty good deal, but it's 6 records, like what in it. Yeah. So we just didn't know what we wanted. Even if somebody asked, whatever you want, we'll do it, So that guy really helped us kind of fish through the bullshit. And Goatee came along and saw us come play live a couple times when we toured through in Nashville. They rented a studio for us for a week to just and paid for it, no strings attached, just to put down our latest ideas.
Yeah.
And at the time, we're writing everything on the road because we're on the road. We'd ask clubs if we could load in at 10 a.m. so we could practice a song. Or a youth group we'd play and we'd stay the night, and leave our gear set up and write a song. And so we just put down all our ideas that we had that we've been telling them about but hadn't captured outside of a phone. And they liked what they had heard there. And then came down and saw us play with a band they had on Monoverse Stereo, that Goatee imprint.
Oh, yeah.
I Am Terrified.
Yeah.
From Birmingham, Alabama. And we played a show with them. And Mailing and Sons Disaster had a side project that played it. It was really cool. It was weird. Show. It was at a church, and it was like a metal show. It was awesome.
That's cool.
The Dirty South. And they saw the set and just really the phone conversation started picking up after that. And with that was in the summer of 2008 that they saw us. We didn't sign that deal to the spring of 2009. A lot of back and forth thing. And then we went and made our record with Mark Townsend in the early summer of 2009. And this guy made 6 of the 7 Reliant K records. He made those 2 Deus Vale records. He made the Weddings, first few Wet records. We really liked what he had going on.
He's great.
And man, we did nothing but butt heads, and it went really bad. And he did not understand what we were wanting to do. Our recipe was really simple. I'm at this point in my life, I'm a super fan of the Killers, and I want a guitar on one side, a synthy drone on one side, amazing percussion section right up the middle, with a vocal take that's not perfect. And man, he just kept pushing us into this Warped Tour sound that he had with those bands. Those Wedding and Reliant K records have 6 guitars on them. They're a wall of sound, and it's a whole different thing. And we love those projects. It wasn't, but it's we're trying to do this, and he was going through some personal crap, I think. But anyways, for instance, all of our album art to that point had been hand drawn, and the label put our faces on the front.
This is the EP you're talking about, right?
Yeah. The EP. And so we just out the gates, it was creatively confusing. It was kind of like dating, where now we got married and you're asking me to change. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And we dropped that record. We put out that record in the fall of 2009. The same place we did it, at that church in Wichita. The record released. It was huge. It was awesome. We did a couple support tours. Got to go out with the Classic Crime. You know those guys.
Oh yeah.
And in House of Heroes, we did the West Coast with them. But we're talking we get paid $100 a night.
Yeah, I do know
those are long drives. Those slinging merch, sleeping on bands' floors. So I wouldn't say much changed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We got a new van and trailer with our advance. We didn't do something cool we put a TV in the second row. I missed that van. But we were very much a van and trailer band. We never did a bus tour.
Yeah.
when we talked to bands that they were like, I don't know why we're doing this. We're spending $1,500 a day on this.
So much money.
But yeah. Anyways, it was just from that release, we just kept touring, and we signed a 2.5 record deal with.
I was gonna say, was the deal good? And I mean, was it kind of the best deal essentially?
It was the safest one for us. Most control. They weren't touching any. The Christian music world was interesting right then. They took more of our publishing than they probably should have, but none of our songs popped with them, so it didn't really matter. They didn't recoup on what they spent on us. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Our record budgets were like 20 to 25,000. We never sold, and they couldn't. We'd buy our CD off of them for a couple bucks to sell at our shows.
Yeah.
And so we made more money off their releases than they did because we toured so much. You know what I mean? Majority of a Band of Kansas record sales came from my hand to a fan's hand. Like, it's we never had some big. A couple cool things they scored for us that we didn't have. Back then, distribution digitally wasn't as simple. You couldn't, like, if you're a band and wanted your stuff on iTunes, which isn't even a thing now, believe it or not. But if you wanted it on iTunes, your relationship had to be pretty good with a distro thing, and it was slow. It'd be 6 weeks after you said you wanted it, and all kinds of hang-ups. And so they got us right in all the digital outlets right away. Like, Spotify had just then became a thing. They did get us the Amazon deal of the day, and the record was $2.99, but they paid us $7.50.
Oh,
like,
cool.
It was a perfect deal, and we sold like 4,000 copies.
Wow,
that day.
That's amazing.
It was a good pop that day for them digitally. But I was just trying to think. We toured with bands on their roster, except for Lion K. We never got a tour with them.
Wow.
And we met them, and they're cool dudes. I no problem. That was another one of those things where we were like there, but we got past. So
Sure.
It's like,
was bitter about it then. I can deal with it now. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
We would, during that time, we started building some good relationships with some up and coming bands that opened for us, like 21 Pilots.
So crazy.
And From Indian Lakes. Both of those guys are absolutely crushing it in their own right. And there was a guy that had quit Owl City and started a project called Swimming with Dolphins.
Yeah, Tooth and Nail Band. Yeah.
Yep. And then just the following year in 2011, Showbread and The Wedding opened for our whole tour. And those
are
were
you
bands
serious?
Yeah, they were support, and so that was cool. Mike Main's in the Branches. That was a guy we
he's great.
Met in Michigan and took on the road. And a lot of these guys went on to kind of tour with Reliant K and get to do the things. All those bands I just listed toured with Reliant K. But
That's so funny.
I don't know. We did another record with Goatee, a full length.
Yeah.
And we wanted Say in the producer, and they made us. We did it again with Mark Townsend.
So you decided to, or you got forced to?
No, they made us. It was rough, man. We were devastated.
Do you feel like both those records, had he not been at the helm, which, again, he's supremely talented and incredibly gifted, do you think they would have been different records?
It's what I'd like to tell myself, but I mean, how different could they be? I mean, but that was what was so annoying about him is we'd want to change. I'd be like, give me another take, and he'd be like, it's not going to sell another 10,000 records. It's not. I remember one specific contradiction, just how weird he was. Like, I made a Coldplay reference. He was like, they never won a Grammy. I was like, they just did, Viva La Vida. And then the next sentence, he's disqualifies somebody because they did win a Grammy. That means nothing, just because you did, It was just, I remember our drummer, Brian, found an old photo because Mark Townsend was DC Talk's guitar player.
Yeah.
And he had found a picture of him with this wild mohawk in like the 80s, right? 90s, something. And instead of laughing at the joke, Mark just goes, I was making more money in that picture than you'll ever make in your life. And just stuff like that. Like, it was cringy and just weren't, man, so much about being a producer is joining the band.
Yeah.
Like any band will tell you that. They're like, it's like we had a fifth member, man. It's very important that person creates an environment that is safe
and you can be vulnerable, and it was not. So luckily we were with Ad Astra, we had enough vision and control and stuff done already. He didn't jerk us around as much. Just atmosphere. We spent 6 weeks, 2 different 3-week periods on Ad Astra in Nashville at Mark's house. We'd rent like I'm sure other bands have shared that we'd rent like a badass studio for drums. Like just part of it practically, he didn't have a drum space, but just so you catch like, we're making a record, look at this studio. And then everything else is in somebody's shed in the backyard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With sitting with headphones next to a desk. Like, it's not cool, but they gave us a decent experience in the recording wise. They didn't screw us that way. They weren't real controlling. Songs got cut, but like, that's normal. They weren't zooming into details like lyrics or song length or stuff like that. Our guy at Goatee was easily the coolest part of that whole experience. When we first signed, I told you I was underexposed to music, and he gave me a zip drive with 10 of his recommended favorite albums, and it was like old, like the Cardigans and Smashing Pumpkins and Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Man, I'd have to think of more, but they were all stuff I'd never heard.
Wow.
I mean, had never heard. Maybe a song, but like, hadn't done the thing. And he really exposed me to some good music.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
How do you feel about the EP and the full length overall? I know you said there was tension, obviously, it sounds like, and maybe the direction you didn't really want to go, but overall, how do you feel about them?
Yeah, I think they make sense. When I listen to it now, the perspective of the music I just think about the time in the studio or the time we wrote it. So the context there, when I listen to it chronologically, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm cool with it. Like, I can tell what we were listening to, what mood we were in, what bass player was in the band at the time. Like, I can connect with it in different ways than I could right there up close. I think more proud of the body of work than that zooming in on one individual piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We never thought we had made a masterpiece, but if we had that kind of thinking, it would have been Ad Astra per Aspera.
Yeah, it's a great record.
Big fan of the Killers. The Killers really lore Nevada and Vegas a lot, the hometown, and write about. And so all of our merch and the Kansas flag was our backdrop, like Ad Astra per Aspera being the state motto. That was kind of like where we wanted to land brand wise, like this Midwest kind of
blue collar band.
Blue collars, to the stars. But things quickly right after that, the label asked us to make Christian music.
Ooh. What was that like?
After that record was when I started co-writing for the first time.
Oh, nice.
My very first scheduled co-write was Aaron Gillespie.
Really?
He was in Nashville writing country songs. Had a pretty good publishing deal. It had nothing to do with his projects. He was just writing songs. This was like 2012. And me and Aaron and Toby Mac wrote a song.
Oh my God.
And it is out there.
What's it called?
Stays the Same.
Is it a Toby Mac song?
No, we put it out. A band in Kansas.
Oh.
So this was a weird time. I co-wrote a song with a guy that was new to me. His name's Dustin Burnett, and he'll come back up in the story. But I co-wrote a song called "Turn It to Gold" with him. And like this angsty punk, like, if you don't like it, you can turn it to gold. But we flipped it into this like Christian sports anthem. Take the darkest part of me and turn it to gold. And this is the 2012 London Olympics are coming up. And Goatee got super stoked, so stoked that Toby caught wind of it. And he almost did that, like made that his song.
Wow.
I was going to sing the hook and he was going to rap some cool stuff. Didn't end up going that way, but that was one of those weird times where we were just in writing mode in Nashville, or Goatee just like put down $2,000 and was like, let's record it. And we did that. We wrote a song called Chariot with Josh Silverberg from Edison.
I love Josh. He's amazing.
He's a sweet dude. And like heavy into ministry now. Different turn than
I had him on a year or so ago. I've booked Edison Glass so many times.
Yeah. Agreed, man. I saw them because of you. We played with them sometimes.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah,
they were from Oral Roberts, not far. Like just a little bit older than us. I wrote a song called Chariot with him that actually charted on Christian radio during that year, 2012. But it didn't chart enough to like sell anything or move tickets, and it just to our fan base got real confusing.
Yeah,
so, like. Think about it, a band that's built off their core tries to do something. And so they felt betrayed. The Christian world didn't like the new look either. And so we were just stopped. Like,
that sucks.
What are we doing? Why did we change the recipe? And I think if we could have just kept making our thing as those bands do, that we all love, like it's about a body of work. It grows. It grows we were trying the flashy thing, and it just didn't work.
Do you regret doing that, or do you just feel like?
Of course. So
but you got to write with those cool people. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Some amazing experiences. At the time, it felt like this might work. It also didn't feel like there might have been another option. I think we just would have got dropped. So they put out a 5-song EP. That had those 5 weird songs called "Turn It to Gold." And all it is just that last, none of them are connected or recorded by the same people, or they're all weird, but they were just efforts at that thing. They put it out the same month we went ahead and put out our own music without permission.
Oh gosh.
And we put 3 songs out that are the biggest streaming songs we have. We put out You, Me, and the Radio and Marching Around Me, and The Chase, just a 3-song EP that we recorded with Dustin Burnett, the guy that we had made Turn It to Gold with. And those songs gave us a really nice push. They got some syncs on some TV things, and like we started being able to tour DIY again.
Were you dropped? Did the label drop you at this point, or were you fulfilled your contract?
It was mutual. I mean, I became so impossible to work with and was so bad, and
I can totally see that.
it just became. I didn't know legally what I was allowed to do, and as far as quit, I just wanted it all to stop, just go away.
Sure.
And it did. There was like, I mean, it really did. There's no beef there. The extent of the beef came when I moved to Nashville. My drummer had died. My guitar player got married. My bass player got married. Actually, he hadn't died. Why did I say he has passed since? But he took over the family business. His dad died.
Yeah.
And he took over the family business and was stuck here. So I moved to Nashville when I got married and was looking for work, and started the dudes from Kansas City. What's that band?
Queens
Those
Club?
dudes from yes.
Club?
Andy from Queens Club hit me up.
That's great.
And said, Emery's going to be calling you. Matt from Emery's going to be calling you. I told him you'd be great at filling in on bass and vocals. And I was like, I don't play bass. And he's like, I know. And but Devin had quit Emery at the time. So they needed a singer. They needed another vocalist. And so Emery made it real easy for me. They put the bass line on a track. And whenever I got lost playing the bass line live, I could push this stomp pedal button and the track would take over. If I wanted to do like a cool bass throw or go face walk in the crowd, I could just push that button. Anyways, I was there to sing and jump around and be on stage.
Yeah.
And I did 2 tours with them, one with Norma Jean. It was very cool. It was the exact type of shows I had been wanting to play with my band forever. You know, the Granada with 500 people.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like perfect. Like these like all day hardcore festivals with like at a skate park, and there's thousands. Like it was just perfect.
That's awesome.
And I was writing music, and they heard some of it, and they had a label at the time, Bad Christian.
Bad Christian, yeah.
And they fronted. Instead of fronting a bunch of money, they did front it so I could get it done timing wise. But they were really good at that time with helping bands raise money on Indiegogo, and we funded our own record with the fans. And so that got us back on track. Like that weird 2012 with pop songs, like in 2015 got to put out like a record that I think is our best.
That's great record, Alligator. Yeah, so good, man.
Yeah. And I was going to make that with Dustin Burnett, and he heard the songs and was just like, dude, this is awesome. I'm not your guy. Like, it was such a nice thing to do for me. He introduced me to Jay Hall, who I just connect with so much creatively, and it's a wacky personality and really knows how to handle me. I can be a mess. So I've loved working with Jay. And we put out Alligator on Bad Christian and did a tour, and then we broke up.
Well, talk to me real briefly about Alligator, just your thoughts on it. It sounds like you're most proud of that record. I mean, just I thought it was fantastic. And I think that's the last time you and I got to hang out, or around then, kind of in that time frame.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I remember hearing it and being like just blown away. It was so different, but in a good way. Yeah, just your thoughts overall on that record.
I think it's pretty vain overall that I think that one's the best. I mean, I didn't involve it very, very many people. Like I wrote everything. I played everything. And I brought Nick Blazina, who was the engineer for Jay, and Jay Hall so close into the creative process, unlike anybody. Everybody else I'd worked with, I've got the idea, and then I bring it in. With them, I was like, what do you think about this? And they, very vulnerable with them, and they really challenged me to actually do what I had in mind. Yeah. Because I think if I'm going to go show it to somebody, then you're going to go ahead and polish it off and then be like, what do you think? But I was showing them like the rawest stuff. Dude, this is so crazy. At one point I showed him a song about my dad, and before I could get through like the second line of the song, he goes, stop. And he just set up a mic and we did it. And that was it. And it's one take, and that's the one on the record.
That's so crazy.
It's so fucking cool, dude. I even I'm not embarrassed or anything, but it's not staged. I even kind of tear up at the end because I'd never played that song for anybody. You know what I mean?
Sure. Personal.
Half of it was on a phone demo, and oh man, and it's way personal, and just put it out there, and for him to be flexible and attentive enough to capture that moment, and just felt really respected artistically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like cool, man. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Because I think initially that is what I wanted. It wasn't for it to be that kind of feeling. That's a bedside playing to yourself type thing. So he let me express myself in so many ways. If I could be a front man in a hardcore band, that's what I'd want to be. But I had to tap Shane from Hands, and now I'm forgetting his other bands, but Everything in Slow Motion. Yeah, crazy good vocalist. And I have a girl, Brianna Gaither, on a track. We did like a breakup duet type thing, and really just gave these people a lot of freedom. And I felt like such a producer on this record.
That's cool.
I wrote the songs, but cast people. You know what I'm saying? Like my bandmates weren't involved. I hired an incredible drummer, Miles McPherson. He's like had just come off tour with Paramore.
Holy cow!
He's like Kelly Clarkson's drummer for the first 6 years, I think. He's now just like an incredible session guy, and he did stuff that just blew my mind. I gave him programmed drum parts, and he just brought it all to life. And
that's crazy.
The way that record just ended up sounding and feeling was like, oh, too little, too late. Like, this is where we're at. And I didn't have a band. I didn't have the crowdfunding a record while you're making a record is not a good idea. I just became kind of a shell of a human being. And then what we decided to do with the crowdfund was one of the top packages was like $300 and we'll come play at your house. Well, that's not enough money, by the way.
That's definitely not.
And we went on like a 6-week acoustic living room tour, coast to coast, promoting the record. And people's living rooms, and loved our fans, loved that part that our band would do that, but it really takes it out of you. Like, tour's already so
Taxing.
space invasive,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And going into people's houses and trying to be normal, not just while you're playing, but before the show and after the show. And
Sure.
It's exhausting. And so that really put my personal life on strain. So when the record came out, like by the time in June of 2015 when it came out, the band had already ended.
Crazy.
And I had hired guys for that living room tour. They were friends, but we weren't a band. They weren't the guys that played on the record. And I moved back to Kansas and was done with music for a little bit. It was weird.
Was that really hard for you to get adjusted to that life, or were you excited, or how was that for you?
I drank more off the road than on. I mean, I did not do well adjusting to society. Sold the van, that was hard. Like, was really trying to make my marriage work at that time, and we had a kid, and so he's 8 now. And being a dad was like one of the first things I really stepped up for in the right way. Like, always kind of a lazy employee, like a whatever guy to most things, and the dad thing has really lit me up. So
Yeah.
that just became the main focus for me, and music was just
Secondary.
I felt like it had hurt me. Now, it wasn't even on the plate, you know, it wasn't really a thought for a while there. The only thing that pulled me back into it was a little bit later, that guy Dustin Burnett that I made a band of Kansas songs with, called me about making a licensing project, which is music to be used in TV and film.
Yeah.
So not make a real band, but like make catchy, hooky songs that can get on a Ford Focus commercial or something. And he is just amazing at that pop thing. He personally has gone on. He's a multimillionaire. I mean, he's just gone on to make an incredible body of music that's sync. He's in every time somebody makes a field goal on TV, that it cuts to one of his, like, oh, like one of his songs.
That's so cool.
He's got that whole thing on lock. But I have written 10 songs total with him for that project. We called it Crusoe because we were all guys that were in bands had left. So, but those songs out never really like did much with the music live or, you know, merch or whatever. It just was a sync project, but it was a cool way to get back in the studio and make some things. But really that project was so little commitment. Like we get together for 4 days, write 5 songs, and then I'd be out of there. And so it was more like a professional work than some rowdy band stuff. But.
Sure. And then now currently you're doing Glass Age, is that correct?
Yeah. Ironically, Crusoe, that project has by far made me the most money of any.
That's amazing.
I'm not talking a lot of money. I'm just saying,
but being able
10,
to make
15 years of a band in Kansas, and then Crusoe is like man hours probably has 100 into it. And you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
And here at my age, like I can sing better than I ever have and write better. Like, unlike an athlete, musicians, artists get better and are you know, other than looks, you know what I'm saying? And that was never an emphasis in the first place. So I think the more outlets I can find like that are like lower commitment level than getting in a band for 300 days out of the year, and like
I get that.
Creative and use my 10,000 hours effectively to make money and get paid for it.
Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah. Glass Age is the latest kind of original.
Yeah, I was going to say Glass Age, yeah.
Glass Age very much sonically and creatively, perspective-wise, picks up where Alligator left off. Just kind of angsty indie rock stuff with some touches of some digital stuff. I'm making it with Jay Hall, the same guy I made the Alligator with. I just had so many life things and mental things, and so I started Glass Age sessions in 2016, and it's 2024, and I don't have it out yet. There's like a few songs out there. Really been dragging my feet on this one. This will be one of those when it's like the first record drops, I'll be so far over it. It's like
I get it.
I could like some of the discussion is like, do we trash this first songs and just write this stuff? I have a great band and great players, and they're all annoyed with me for just how slow I'm being about everything. But
no, I get it, man. I mean, you got a lot going on.
Like we were talking about earlier in this call, man. I miss being 22 and nothing you did really impacted anybody. You know what I mean? Just you. Like it. Now I've got so many other lives to think about, and just that bravery from the youth. I miss that ignorance, man. I overthink everything now, and I wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah, dude, I get that, man. Well, dude, I've really enjoyed this, man. It's been so cool to reconnect, and I'm glad that you're in a good headspace right now, and I know it's been a long journey for you, but the sun always rises, and I do feel like you have so much talent, and I hope that you continue to put music out in some way, shape, or form, be it Crusoe or Glass Age or whatever it may be. Always been a fan of you as a person, and always been a fan of your music, so just keep that in mind.
I can't thank you enough for all the opportunities, man.
Well,
really, I can't thank you enough for a lot of that, just giving us a lot of chances and weird combinations with bands, and it worked. And that recipe continued to work for us. So I thought it was a cool way to start. When do you come back to Wichita?
I went back about 5 years ago. My parents moved to Atlanta, so we helped. But next time I do, I will let you know for sure, and we can hang out. Or if you come down this way or whatever.
Well, me and Nick Patrick from the band of Kansas have a cover band now.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. You do that.
We got real creative and named it A Band in Kansas.
Yeah, I saw it. Looks like it's crazy shows.
Back to the original joke. It's talk about another project that makes me more money than my original band. Yeah,
that's crazy,
dude. It's so fun. We do 4 hours of like late 90s, early 2000s alternative rock. Just everything, every single word to, and people just lose their.
Yeah, so crap too. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, come on back.
Yeah, well, when I do, I'll definitely hit you up, and if you come down this way, let me know. But man, really enjoyed this convo, and it's so good to reconnect. I know we talked the other day for a little bit, and it was just cool to reconnect. And I'm just, I'm really proud of what you've accomplished in terms of your art and all that stuff. Just proud to know you, man. So just want you to know that. Hey, thank you to the listener for tuning in again and again. I really appreciate it. It's been really cool to go on this journey with you guys. So thank you so much for that. Add me on Instagram and Facebook if you'd like, at the Rumors Are True Cast. Like and subscribe if you'd like, and leave a review if you'd like as well. So thank you guys for all that. Thank you to Jeremy Spring. Awesome conversation. So cool to reconnect. It's been a while. Really stoked to have again reconnected. So thank you so much for your time, Jeremy. Guys, we've got some incredible artists on the horizon, guys, and you know it. Nostalgia is still a hell of a drug. The podcast is produced by Wesley Hill, artwork by Jared Chase Bowser, and music by Brian Jaron. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my dear friend, producer, and man of many talents, Brian Jaron.